Ashok Malik wants to rebut. You come back. Smriti Irani coming back to you, Ashok Malik.
I actually agree with Vinod.
Yeah.
Much as it may surprise him. When Subramaniam Swamy went to the Supreme Court and said, please decide on prosecution of Chidambaram, the Supreme Court very correctly sent the matter back to the trial court, Justice Saini, and said, let him decide. If you don't agree with his decision, you come back to us in a process of appeal. Which is exactly what is happening with Narendra Modi as well. The Supreme Court sent it back to the trial court and you come back with the process of appeal. There's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely correct. The point I'm discussing, without in any way anticipating the judgment of any court, is that the evidence against Modi has not moved. The so-called evidence against Modi has not moved.
That the judge will decide. You started off, Malik, my dear friend, I'm glad you agreed with me on the substance of it, but you drew a different inference. That inference has to be drawn by the judge, not by you and me.
I said without anticipating any judgment.
No, that is where you have gone against the law of subjudice. I'm sorry. I mean, we don't have to say what, we will have to wait for the Metropolitan Magistrate for his word.
Fact is tonight you can have a problem, Mr. Kumar Ketkar, on moral grounds with Narendra Modi. But it doesn't stand, 1 minute. It doesn't stand judicial scrutiny. My question to Kumar Ketkar is this, sir. You know, when on the day of the Chidambaram judgment, I had the pleasure of having you on one of our panels and we discussed that issue. You in fact said that some people have a predetermined position on certain matters, regardless of whether there is a legal base for the argument or not. The same argument the BJP will now put against its critics. You have a predetermined position. You will continue to harp on allegations to keep the political tempers going, the political debate alive. Mr. Ketkar.
Yeah, it's true that BJP will keep on saying that, and it is distinctly possible for people who are against Modi to say that we are going to pursue the case and nothing has been settled. Similarly, the pro-Modi people will suddenly bring about a development question. Actually, development issue is not at all in the court. The question is simply whether Narendra Modi was part of the conspiracy. Now, whether part of the conspiracy is proved, part of the organization of the riots was proved, is totally different thing than the riots took place and the government did not attend to them properly. I think we are putting too much pressure on both these points, and I think we have to be waiting, as Vinod Sharma very correctly said, we have to wait till the courts actually give their verdict. This is the SIT report, that too leaked report, and on that basis we are saying whether Narendra Modi is getting clean chit or not. I think it is going too far. I think we are jumping the gun. We should not be jumping them. Let the Metropolitan Magistrate decide. Let it go to High Court. Let it go to Supreme Court, and let it decide then. I think there is time for that. And certainly elections will be passed.
How does one take a different position?
I am not.
How does one? Yesterday evening. One second, Mr. Ketkar. Now here's, we are really confused about how to handle these smoking guns, because the fact is that yesterday evening, when the Gujarat High Court tore apart in several observations, we had the full judgment out and we read it on the channel. At that time, none of the detractors and critics of Narendra Modi said, this is not a final report, it will be debated and discussed in the Supreme Court. On the basis of this judgment alone, many people said yesterday Narendra Modi should resign.
But I think we should
but that's a judgment. But this is a judgment. This is not an SIT report.
But it's a Supreme Court appointed SIT.
This is not the prosecution's report. Please, for God's sake. If I am to be prosecuted tomorrow, I have a right to judicial redressal.
Supreme Court appointed
right to defend myself.
It's a Supreme Court appointed SIT.
It is a Supreme Court appointed SIT.
Mr. Raghavan has some credibility.
Of course. I mean, he's also a former CBI officer.
Yes, exactly.
And it's fashionable in this country to rubbish the CBI, to question its integrity. I think I am not questioning Mr. Raghavan's integrity. I respect the man. But I respect greater the legal process through which Mr. Modi should get exoneration.
Sir, the question
SIT report is not an exoneration until it is upheld by a court of law in this country. That is law.
Well, when the Gujarat High Court said Modi does not have to appear before the Nanavati Commission, the SIT gives him a clean chit in the Gulbarg cases. All the cases against Narendra Modi legally are drawing a blank.
So Arnab, there are two things.
This is the basis of to this debate. Yes, Neerja Chaudhary.
There are two very clear things. Here is an investigation report. It will go before the trial court. The trial court will take a view on it. It may go to the High Court. It may go to the Supreme Court.
Sure.
That is a legal process. Let's not confuse the legal process and say bring it to a closure, because we cannot do that. But there is a political ramification of that. It is possible that politics is going to be affected by that SIT report, and Mr. Narendra Modi and the BJP will go to town.
Is there a politics to it or not?
Yes, of course there is a politics to it.
Is this basically a political debate or not?
No, it is a political debate.
No, because otherwise I take the example, Naveen Patnaik for example, under whose tenure the Kandamal riots occurred. right? I mean, does not have the taint of riots constantly shadowing him, unlike Narendra Modi. Isn't it true that this is because Patnaik, unlike Modi, appeared to be ensuring that the perpetrators were brought to justice, or is this because there's a permanent bias against Narendra Modi? It's got to do with national politics. Naveen Patnaik is not seen to be a contender in Delhi.
You see, it is about a shameful chapter in the country's history, what happened in 2002. That's why the country is exercised. But yes, Narendra Modi is a possible contender for Prime Ministership on behalf of the BJP.
Yes.
Therefore, it becomes a larger political question than one involving Naveen Patnaik. Certainly, that is true.
Well, Smriti Irani has been wanting to come in for some time. Yes, Smriti, please go ahead.
No, first, Arnab, after listening to your intervention with all the senior journalists on the panel, at the risk of sounding, I think you might get a lot of hate mail tonight because you are sounding a bit pro-Modi. That was on a lighter vein, but I think that there are two issues that need to be addressed. You are absolutely right that if this so-called leak had gone
I got enough flack for being anti-Modi yesterday, so pro-Modi, these things don't quite matter, Smriti, yes. Yeah.
Like I said, as far as I would like to also point out on the debate that you had yesterday. I saw it in a rerun. But let me first say this, that if this leak had gone against Narendra Modi, there would have been jubilation and celebrations in your studio tonight. This leak seems pro-Modi, so there is this whole aspersion A cast on what the leak is all about, B, what it will finally transform into in the Supreme Court. All that being said, as far as your debate yesterday, which you spoke about the High Court judgment, let me only say this, not getting into the legal process, but only making a statement of fact. When rehabilitation process took place in Gujarat, for the first time in the entire nation, a committee was formed, chaired by the governor, comprising of the chief minister, the leader of opposition, who is a congressman, ex-chief ministers, members of the minority community, NGOs, and this committee decided who, what, how, when has to be rehabilitated in the state. Let me finish. And it was implemented by an IAS officer called Mr. Bukhari. Now, this entire team of people which comprised of the opposition in Gujarat decided on rehabilitation. So, nobody focused on actually the process of healing that has been undertaken by the government of Gujarat.
Because yesterday we were talking about the High Court verdict. Why are you wanting to subvert the importance of the High Court verdict? If you want, I'll read it out to you all again tonight. I'll read it out to you all over again tonight,
Smriti. Which has taken place in Gujarat. I'm stating a factual thing which has taken place in Gujarat. Like I said, anything which is done on a very positive note never gets highlighted. Anything that is done to bring communities together never gets highlighted. Why?
Please don't have that. It does not make for good
time.
I think that is a completely wrong charge. I think that's a completely wrong charge.
No,
and I don't think that charge holds.
I'm making a statement.
I don't think it can hold. Question is tonight. Let's go legal. No, it doesn't hold. It doesn't hold because Smriti, the fact is you don't want us to play up a High Court verdict. You want us to play up a SIT. These are two different stories. I put the question out right on top of News Hour tonight. What should people of this country be driven by? A High Court verdict which questions Narendra Modi, or a SIT which gives them a clean chit? Frankly, I do not have the answer to that. To Meenakshi Lekhi tonight. Here's the question.
I'm showing the duality. You want to celebrate a High Court judgment which you presume is against Modi yesterday, and today an SIT report which is so-called leaked in the media is not to be trusted or is not to be looked into with absolute
tested by court of law. These are basics of Indian judicial system. A report by a prosecuting agency has to be tested by a court of law, Smriti.
It has to be tested.
And may I tell you that yes, you are saying this report has been leaked and you're taking exception to it. This report, according to me, was leaked to negate the impact of the High Court judgment yesterday, if I may accuse that, if I may say that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I can only tell you this, that all of you, unfortunately, are diluting the excellent job done by the Times Now.
This is not to take away from Arnab's good work and his team's good work.
Because I do not think, and I want to tell you, I don't think this is a leak. This has been put in. We got to know it's been put in. We found out to our sources what was in it. And frankly, Vinod Sharma,
I would have written this report. If I had got it, I would have written it.
Had this report, which Times Now had gone against Mr. Modi, we would have also published it and given it as much importance. My question to Meenakshi Lekhi tonight is this. Meenakshi Lekhi, the SIT has submitted its report to the magistrate. As one of our panelists pointed out, it is up to the magistrate to accept or to reject the report. The Supreme Court has made it absolutely clear that the concerned magisterial court will not dispose of any closure report, including this one, before hearing the petitioners. So even that decision can be reviewed by a higher court. So, and I'm saying this because yesterday you laid out the whole process of the law for me when I put out the High Court verdict. I laid out the process of the law for you tonight, and my question to you is why is the BJP celebrating? What's the BJP celebrating?
Who's saying BJP is not celebrating, but SIT is constituted by the Supreme Court, and this is not the only SIT, this is the 14th such report and 14th such SIT. And what is the time frame? The time frame is 10 long years. What have they got? They have got nothing. Gulbarga, in fact, was one such society where it was attacked by a Hindu congressman, and that is a matter of evidence. This lady, Zakia Zafari, with due respect, who's lost her husband, one can understand and appreciate the grief she must be going through. At the same time, has been hijacked by some vested interests who have forced her or convinced her to file wrong affidavits. Now, these are the facts before the court, and facts before the court cannot be ignored. So the question is not whether one is celebrating
in a television
or not.
Discussion with me, you were questioning the High Court judgment. Which went against Mr. Modi. You were questioning and you said there is a higher court of law. And in this case, today you are not willing to give the chance of the first court to of law to come to a judgment on that. I'm sorry. These are arguments of convenience.
When you were speaking, so allow me to complete. Allow me to complete. I have joined in late. Give me that 1 or 2 minutes. Now, the question is, of course, the process of law is long, but what has happened in this particular case, unfortunately, everything got started at Supreme Court, which has not happened any time in the entire history of this country. And it was Supreme Court which sent it back to the magistrates court that, sorry, we are not going to monitor it any longer. We've spent enough time on this particular matter. Go before, follow the process of law as it is usually done. Now, that was the first verdict. On that again, you people said, that what are you celebrating? Obviously one is celebrating the fact that no court till date has been able to indict Mr. Modi because he is obviously not responsible for what has happened. Two communities have fought with each other, equal number or almost 40% to 60% people have died from each community. Now you want to blame everything on government, what happens in Kashmir, what happens to Rigangs, what happens to Rabhas, nobody is there to take care. Ethnic cleansing happening in this whole country.